about to start here.
There we go. I'm starting to get everything going here. Everything is working, I think. Vanni, you still there?
Oh, excuse me.
Oh.
And there we go.
And we're off. Oh no. Hang on, Nits. Let me see if I can do something here.
I'm cutting out again, am I?
A little bit. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can go ahead and
Not
get that
like
fixed.
me.
Discord is a fun app.
We have here, I'm going to try and power through it, guys. I apologize. We have here is a quarterfinal match. Vanni against Straevaras. Both have very decent times. Vanni 439 PB. And Straevaras definitely has a 126. So I apologize, guys. They to figure this out, and I'm no closer to figuring it out, unfortunately. And I'll see if I can. So we do have the beginning battles. And, this game was quite old, so had to learn as you went. So this is a scripted pincer that they're both into. Both these runners definitely know what they're doing. You don't get without knowing the run basically inside and out. So again, much like last night, I definitely expect a very close race on the line for both of our runners here. So that, let me just...
All right. I think I fixed it.
Can you fix it? Perfect. If I'm too loud, chat, or I can't be heard, just let me know. I'll try and explain things here. So again, the only things that the runners don't have any direct control over is the starting ATB. And from what I can tell, that seems to be the only difference at this point. Has had some marginally better starting ATB, so he's marginally ahead at this point, but I don't see any mistakes. And at this point, again in the tourney, I don't expect any in regards to that.
There we
go. Yep, I'm not watching actually RPG Limit Break, so I can't hear the sound. I just have both of the runners up separately.
Yeah, that's my fault. I'm trying to multitask a couple things here. You'll have to excuse us. This is a work in progress, folks, but I think we're all good now. I'm trying to make sure that we have a stable connection for our good boy Nits here.
No problem, Scratch. I appreciate it. So we're coming in to the first fight, a fight I didn't explain yesterday too well, I don't think. Basically showcasing the ATB system. And can change, but through science, how Welk actually works, we can stall Welk's ATB in order to prevent him from going into the shell. Definitely avoid that. We do that by doing a series of counter cancels and weight tricks, where you see there on Vanni's side, he has off here. See, so basically, if you attack the shell, it's ATB from what I've been told, and basically allows you to go through there. Unfortunately, Straevaras' side, he was not able to get the quick kill because, as you can see, Terra is slimed, and that does slow down her ATB, and it can be really challenging to try and recover from a Terra slime. So that's just really, really bad luck on his part there. And it's tough to practice unless you state and actually practice that ATB. I know I have some serious challenges with it.
Yeah, so do I. It's kind of odd the way that fight actually works here, because it's 100% random from as far as I can tell what he decides he wants to do, whether he attacks or decides to slime one of your party members. So there's no real prep work that you can do to get ready for this fight except grind it over and over again.
I would agree with you there, Scratch, 100%. It's I've run into the same issues. If Terra gets initially slimed, I'm scrambling. So he is through. It is a bit of a loss, as you can see there, roughly about a minute. Thank you for the effort, Midnight Cooper. I appreciate it. So again, it's not the end of the world. There's still a lot of RNG, or unfortunately, depending on who you're cheering for, in regards to the race. So definitely still a lot of race to go through, and anything is possible at this point. See, on Vanni's side, again, we want to save frames and save time, so he has removed all letters but one, mostly because the game requires you to have a character, at least one character in the name, because it's 2 frames just per frame. So we want to save those frames, as they say.
Yep, so scrolling text is just one of those fun things about Final Fantasy VI that no one really thought about when they really, well, casually playing this game, but I would like to think that it saves quite a bit of time over the entirety of a full game run if you actually go ahead and do that for all your characters. But here we're going to just go ahead and we're going to walk out, and as you see here on Vanni's side, he's actually going to take some time here to fight these enemies. He's going to try and get our girl T to level 6 before he triggers the next cutscene here. That is for some good old level manipulation. What we want to do is we want our next character that joins our party to be a higher level than Terra, and people who join our party are at our average party level plus 1. So if Terra is at 6, the next person will join at level 7. So we're going to get to 6, and that way we can do some more manipulation later on.
For sure. So this has all been routed out by, the scientists in the FF6 lab. You're definitely free to try and find a better route, but I challenge anyone to find a better route at this point. There are 256 seeds to potentially choose from, so I assume both runners, I'm not sure about Stray, but I would know Vanni set up before the match certain seed manipulation because there is a byte value in SRAM in Final Fantasy VI, so I can only speak to how Final Fantasy IV is a frame-based initial title screen, whereas Final Fantasy VI saves it all the time. So even if you, power down the cart and come back to it, it's still on the same seed. But when you reset, that increments, I believe, by 13. When you go select screen, it adds 1 to that as well. So they've set that up. And we do see Vanni is through. I didn't see any issues.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that Straevaras is actually on seed as well, because funny story, I played against him in the tournament, and he bought me very nicely.
The encounters where I'm expecting them, so even though he didn't get the quick kill, that doesn't affect your seed manipulation, and it's okay. He might be picking up some time. Just based, again, on preemptives. If you do get a back attack or a pincer at this point, it is really unfortunate. So we do see Stray here. He's walking back and forth to force that extra encounter to get our girl T to level 6. Okay, I thought he was about to run there, but looks okay. First, I wasn't sure if that was a multi-target or not, but apparently went so fast, even I didn't see it there.
Yeah.
He's gonna...
Uh-oh, I think we lost our boy Nitz. Nitz, you still there? Oh boy.
Can you hear me?
Hang on one second. I'm gonna go silent for a second and see if I can go ahead and do something real quick. So, you're right then is when you cut out.
Sorry about that.
No, not a problem.
So all we're seeing here, you're not missing too much. It's just more cutscenes. The game introducing us to Kefka, antagonist. We're also going to see our boy Locke come into the show on Vanni's side. You're seeing this scripted battle, but it's actually random in terms of the damage and which soldier that Terra attacks. If she attacks, I should say the front one. That's the quickest, just because Terra doesn't have to go as far. So that's what you want. You got the middle one, so it's better than the one at the end. See the old man that helped us out with the slave crown removal has enlisted our friend Locke, and he's going to help us out because right now we're dirt. It's definitely not a great place to be, but there we are. You guys can hear this. So we do have the next boss coming up here, Marshall. His 5 guards that come with him are able to all of these guards through science again. We are introduced to our Moogle friends, because Moogle friends are the best friends. They're going to help us out. Provide us with weapon going forward, because in the game, if you were to go into the menu with Mog, you can't actually remove the lance, but to fix that in the item menu. So we do see Vanni here coming up. While the wolf's legs are in motion, it does not trigger a battle, so we can use that to our advantage. Mog come here. We're going to battle with Mog because he has an overpowered mithril pike that Vanni is removing, so that we can put it on Edgar later on. Spoilers. Kutan in the dirt is okay at this point. Kutan and Cuckoo do very minimal damage. So just in time there. Definitely a good time for him. Stray coming up here in regards to that. The same thing. Made up a little bit of time. Still long race left, so anything can happen.
Yep, we have plenty of time left in this race. The interesting thing about the Marshall fight, I don't know if you mentioned it, I'm kind of scrambling here right now, is that we want to take the mithril pike and the mithril shield off Mog. This will be pretty helpful for us later on with some of the equipment needs that we have, considering we're low on gold and we really can't afford everything we would want. The shield gives some safety to the characters, while the pike will help us kill things faster, which is going to be pretty nice here.
For sure. So again, Cuckoo in the dirt, not a big deal.
Yep.
And going ahead and taking care of things for Stray. And he's through in the time of about 13:30. So again, about a minute or so difference most of the time.
Yeah. It's a wonderful little hurdle at the beginning of the game. If you don't get the quick kill, you lose about 20 or 30 seconds. But here we have Vanni moving down towards Figaro Castle, and if you see him walking in a very particular way, it's because he's trying to walk over some tiles, some very specific tiles that are non-threat, non-encounter tiles. So when you walk over them, it doesn't move your encounter count up. So we want to walk over a bunch of those so we can go ahead and get fewer or less encounters and more controlled encounters when we get over to our next dungeon.
Sorry, for sure. So definitely everything looks good. We got the encounters just right where I expected them to be. Stray just leaving Narshe now. So again, the game is not over, as we've seen in other matches. It can definitely go down to the wire. But we are going to pick up Edgar here, the young king of Figaro, and master machine designer, and he's definitely going to be important for the majority of the run. He is going to be our number 2 guy right up until Kefka, when he basically turns into the number 3 guy. He's going to do some damage with a really overpowered auto crossbow, and we're going to give him that Methril Pike we stole from Mog just a few minutes ago, and it's definitely going to, in regards to that.
So, a little thing we may not have mentioned is that each character in this game has a individualized command. If you saw, Terra has magic and Locke has, treasure hunt. We're gonna call it treasure hunt, and then Edgar has tools. And for each character that joins with their individual command, is actually pretty helpful, depending on which character we're using. And each one, actually, in the long run, will be using their command in some fashion or another. So, here we're at Figaro Castle. Not really much to talk about. We're just going to be going through some cutscenes here, and once we're out, then we're going to pick up again with some more encounters and more manipulations. All the really cool stuff that makes Kefka and Narshe just a really fun and short category for anyone that would like to actually start running RPGs. I recommend it. It's not too bad. It's pretty short, and it's Final Fantasy VI. Who doesn't love Final Fantasy VI?
Airmalus, the magic cutscene is something we want to avoid in the speed run. Definitely don't want to cast magic before, because I believe in the game they had the magic cutscene trigger from anywhere from Figaro Castle to South Figaro. So we're gonna avoid that as well. Quick kill was the difference. Stray actually ended up with a 2-cycle, should say, well kill. So Vanni has basically that's your difference at that point. Roughly about, like you see there, about a minute. So, like I said, we've seen back and forths in this entire tournament. I don't count Stray out by nation. He's a great runner, and he has a really good time, 120, a low 126. So he definitely knows what he's doing. Sabin here, who's going to be our main damage dealer. We're not going to actually pick him up now, but we're going to name him now. Going to get everybody's favorite staring contest, hopefully. You can position the soldiers so that they face each other, and then if you're frame perfect, aka you just hold down A and hold down and talk to Kefka, the soldiers will be looking at each other and you'll be talking to Kefka. Unfortunately, in this case, Ren invalidated Kappa and guard block, so he lost 1 frame there.
Wow, this invalidates a run too now? Goodness, I mean, this is something special now. This I love how Final Fantasy VI has evolved into a bunch of memes for a category now.
Well, they're not going to suplex the train at this high level, so I had to pick up something, and that's typically free. So some extra steps there.
Yeah, a fun little thing about the extra steps in the castle, it's not a big deal because when we're in the castle or in towns, it doesn't actually move our threat counter up, because there's no encounter tiles in towns. So you can actually misstep in Figaro. It just costs you a little bit of time, but it won't actually mess up the step route.
Yeah, for sure. I was just about to say he took those extra steps, but from a step route standpoint, it's not going to affect him. I just trying to build up the drama.
Ooh, drama! I love drama. Speaking of drama, who knows anything about how science works? Because
Works.
Yeah, this
skip that. I skipped that in school.
Oh, we skipped science. Okay.
I skipped it in school.
Okay, so did I, because I don't know. I'm just assuming that stone can catch fire. So I mean, Sounds good to me.
Perfect. So science, fire. Some people are telling me it's Kefka's magical fire. Inconsistent, but we don't actually see Kefka cast it, so it's an unresolved plot hole.
Well, I mean, it makes about as much sense as a castle diving under the sand. I mean, that's just preposterous.
Science, and we're going to take our 3 chocobos, which are really expensive, least, and we're going to promptly leave the castle. Classic king move. Don't go down with the ship. Just leave and leave the Chancellor to do your dirty work for you.
Good old...
So as we see here, I had stretch.
It's fluorine fire. Okay, I could buy that. But,
And that too, Camelius. Here's the problem with the sinking castle. Where did that extra sand go to go on top of it? That's the real question.
Magic.
Behind a sinking ship? Or a sinking ship, my goodness. A sinking castle? I can't get behind how all that sand just magically infilled.
Magic.
All the magics. Who needs science?
I mean, did you... If you actually watch that cutscene, do you know how many M's is in there? There's a lot of magic in this world.
This is very true. So we see the next face rolling boss, which casually, if you weren't really paying attention, was really tough, aka when I used to play this. But not realizing that Edgar has the tools command and has an auto crossbow with you when he joins. Basically 2 shots, and it's possible that Terra could die there. But it's really rare. I've never seen it happen. So, fans pull the sand through the towers up like pumps.
Sure.
Sure. Why not? If we have a sinking castle, why not have sand through the towers?
I mean, we live in a world where castles can go under sand. We have giant ostriches that we ride like wonderful birds. The better ostriches, mind you. And giant mechs. I mean, they have Gundams in this world. Why not?
But no actual guns. As is pointed out, guns did not make their debut in the Final Fantasy universe until Final Fantasy VII. We have bombs, but not guns. So,
well, who needs a gun when you have an auto crossbow? Just a fun little note about that fight, though, while we're still on it on Straevaras' side. The auto crossbow doesn't care about what row you're in. So if you note in that fight, we got a back attack. So we're technically in the back row. And when you're in the back row, you're supposed to take less damage, but do less damage as well. But the auto crossbow completely ignores all of that, which it makes it very wonderful for that fight.
Absolutely. So we're going to take our magical ostriches, what have you, and we're going to go to South Figaro because that seems to be the power. And at this point, we're not pushing Terra to join us, but don't worry, in a few minutes we will. It will definitely not be a problem. And so we do see Vanni through the cave here, Figaro. He still appears to be on step route. He did get the 5-pack encounter. The way the step route works, the experience is built into the route. So we want to attack certain enemies in certain places. Like these Bleeries and Crawlies we want to take. They give us enough experience to justify attacking them. We do queue up fight commands because in a case of a really low roll by Edgar, the Bleeries have 118 HP, and sometimes Edgar can do 117 to them. So we queue up those fight attacks just to make sure that everything's cleaned up and we're not wasting any extra time in regards to that. Barry, Vonnie's in the lead by about a minute 10 seconds, roughly speaking. But as we've seen, things can change. Like right here, unfortunately, Vanni getting a little bit trolled by the South Figaro NPCs. Much you can do about those things. I've heard that there's a way to manipulate them, but see Vanni move everybody into the back row and picks up some sprint shoes. As you can see, now he is flying along, if you will.
Yep, we buy enough sprint shoes here so we can set up for the rest of the run, and then we can also get a chocobo, so we can go ahead and get to our next dungeon without wasting any additional steps. So, welcome to Mount Colts, where everything is probably much stronger than we are, because we haven't been doing anything. So, we're gonna have to go ahead and run from these guys initially. Later on. In the next like 10 seconds actually, we're going to go ahead and get a little secret treasure chest that I never knew was there when I was playing this game casually. That's going to increase Egger's strength, which will in turn increase the damage that auto crossbow does, so we can actually clear some of these mobs a little bit easier.
I didn't know about this chest either, and I grew up with the game, and it wasn't in any guide, it wasn't in any Game Pro or Nintendo Power that I was aware of. Currently, Atlas Armlet increases physical damage by 25%. Barbalut. My mic level scratch. Apparently, I might be a little bit loud.
Yep. Give me 1 second. I can go ahead and take care of that too. So, just let me.
Thanks, chat.
Chat's looking out for us.
Absolutely. So we do see the first 4-pack here for Vanni. This is very important in the experience routing. We want to fight the enemies outside and run from the enemies inside. And he does get locked to run away, so I anticipate no issues here. That is perfect. So he has gotten Terra to level 7.
Yep. So, the reason we've run from the brawlers on the inside is because, unfortunately, they don't give much gold and or experience, and really all we need to do is get Egger, Locke, and Terra to level 10, 9, and 8 respectively. That way, the next character that will join our group will join at level, I believe they join at level 11.
Yeah, at that point, the average party is 9, and Sabin will join at 2 plus the average party. For some reason, they deemed it 2, so C6 logic.
I mean, I'm not
totally normal.
Not gonna complain at all. Sabin is my favorite character personally, so.
They're with me as well, so definitely important. Also important to stay on Step Road and Mount Colts because of this encounter right here. Whoa, Surprius. Because as you can see, it pincers you sometimes, depending. It's a frame-based rule, but this is why we've fallen just a touch off Step Route, and he's received that encounter. He was able to get through it, but pincers are much, much slower. And as you can see, it's allowed Straevaras to time.
Yep. So
just like that.
Yep, so now we're going to go ahead and do this last pack of 4 fight here. As you see, we have Trilliums now in this area of the Mount Colts, and the Trilliums are pretty annoying because they could use a move called Bane Touch, which poisons our group, which normally wouldn't be too much of an issue except for the fact that we only have one way of removing the poison. Poison does damage based on how many steps you take on the overworld, so per step you take damage. And we actually need everyone alive, at least up until the Returner's hideout, because we're gonna get a full heal there when we go to the next area, but the full heal doesn't actually revive dead party members.
No, sadly, again, more Final Fantasy VI logic at play, so hopefully Vanni and Strae are able to avoid those Bane touches. Again, the way that the enemies work in this game, I believe they just randomly select where skills are, and they go to town. And I think you can block it, but obviously at this point our levels are quite low, so probability of us blocking one of those is really, really low. We do see Vanni appears to be almost through. He's got this one more battle to go through. Get being touched, that would be really unfortunate just before the boss.
Lucky, lucky.
Very lucky. So he is going to, I believe, heal up just a little bit here. Yes. He could have gone through with those HP levels, but it would have been definitely taking a risk. I'm not sure if he has his opponent's stream up, but if he does, he might be looking at that and going, you know, I'll take the few extra seconds to heal, and we'll move on here. Because we got our buddy Vargas. He's got his 2 Yogi Bears with him.
Yep.
Can't attack Vargas until you get through his henchmen, apparently. So we basically use Terra's Fire, which we can use now and not trigger the magic cutscene. And we use Edgar's auto crossbow. And it basically does enough damage in 2 shots. We move Locke into the front row. While we were giving the Mithril Pike to Edgar, we then gave the Mithril Blade to Locke so that he can do some damage too. He only does about 70, but I believe it saves 1 turn, 1 cycle attacks, so definitely good there. Straight catching up. He's in the fight now. Go ahead, Scratch.
I was gonna say it's definitely worth it because you just move him to the front row, and with some slick manipulation coming up, we can set up a what we call the Doomfist skip, where based on Vargas's ATB coming up in this fight, we can actually skip him getting a turn, thus removing all the extra little text that he puts up there when he fights Sabin by himself.
Straevaras on his side is Terra quite low on HP, 16 now. There's a fun mechanic in this game called the Desperation Attack. In this case, Terra has the ability to do Riot Blade if you attack with her. It's a 1 in 16 chance, and you have to have been in the fight for 25.6 seconds or greater. Terra down, that is bad news for Straevaras. Anytime he might have made up, he is now going to have to rest at the Returner's hideout in order to revive Terra. She looks as though she's picked up now. She's actually still, wounded, I believe.
Yeah, it's wounded. He actually has a couple of options that he can use here, because we do pick up 2 Phoenix Downs while we're in the Returner's hideout, but we need at least 2 Phoenix Downs for a couple of tricks that are coming up. So what he actually can do is use one of those Phoenix Downs and either pick up a additional Phoenix Down from the Chocobo vendor in the Sabin scenario, or pick up a Phoenix Down from the vendor in the Phantom Train. So
That's true.
Yeah, we'll see what.
That's very true. I totally forgot. I totally forgot about that.
Well, ideally, we would never come across these things, but I've had a lot of bad things happen to me in these races, so I learned a lot of backup strats.
I truly did not, so I would have just gone and rested at the free heal inn at the Returner's hideout that we are going to see Vanni come up to now. He's got one more encounter there.
Yeah,
he was off separate a little bit.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Ideally, walking up to the Returner's hideout, we should only get 1 encounter. But it looks like Vanni is going to take a save here just to prevent himself from getting soft locked, or just in case he gets soft locked. So, fun little note: after you talk to this guard right here, you're gonna walk. But unfortunately, we're not really controlling him. So there's a little guard at the bottom right. Luckily, he's at the bottom right because he can actually walk between you and the guard and get stuck on the stairs. And because you don't regain control of your character, you can't do anything, thus soft locking. So Vanni's playing it very safe right now and just taking the save right there. Meanwhile, on Straevaras' screen, the good old heartbeat slash what would you call this? What would you call what the screen is doing? Oscillating? Is it oscillating or is it just blurring?
I would say pulsating.
Okay. That's a good way of describing it.
With Edgar down, I would definitely go for the free heal now.
Yes, that would be a grand idea. One Phoenix down is enough. Buying 2 is kind of rough considering our money is extremely tight.
So potentially work. Both of them threw without the soft lock. I can tell you it is extremely frustrating when it happens to you, because I've had it happen to me in a race. You feel very hopeless. I finished the Swiss round 3-1, and that was the only reason why I lost. I was behind at the time, but anything could have happened. So, rip me. That's okay.
It was a very stiff competition for this. Everyone was going very hard in this tournament to cut down their times and perform very well. It's actually been a very interesting and fun tournament so far.
There are times like 32:30 Vargas and a 31:37 Vargas is definitely absolutely amazing times. Thank you so much, Kishra, for the sub. 29 huge months in a row. Double up.
Yep, I would just like to put in there the sub hype.
Thank you for that. So we do see on the left-hand side here for Vanni, just remember, kids, just say no to Bannon, which in theory is, it's broken. The gauntlet that you get if you say yes, which I always used to, I never said no because I thought the game might soft lock on me, because that's never happened. But the gauntlet is broken. It's supposed to allow you to hold one weapon with two hands to do more damage. It doesn't work properly. The Genji glove is allows you to hold two weapons and do slightly less damage, but it's broken and does full damage. So we want to take advantage of that. We'll get the Genji glove by saying no, as Vanni is going to get here. We're going to use it on our boy Edgar, and he is going to do some serious damage against the next boss, Octomom's uncle, Octomom's grandfather. But first, we're going to actually set up for manipulation on the river. Some super smart person figured out that 9 encounters on the river, 2 are forced, optional. So there are seeds out there and NPC movements out there in the universe that allow us to skip those 7 encounters.
Yep. The river is actually pretty treacherous because while we're in between battles, we're not actually allowed to go into our menu unless we get to one of the save points. And there's a little caveat when Bannon joins your party, and if he dies, it's an automatic game over, as if your entire party died, which is a bit of an issue. So what we're going to want to do is just get this manipulation down as much as we can, and just get these 2 encounters. So here comes the first one here. It was looking good on Vanni's screen. I'm pretty sure he got the NPC movement down, so he's going to run from this one.
Razuvi, thank you so much for the sub. Sub hype.
Oh, we got another sub. So hype. Mubot is mistaken. I'm just gonna announce it, guys. The runners are Vanni Von and Straevaras, and the commentary is my name is Scratch Dragon, and this is Nisky1.
Hello, everyone.
So, Vanni is doing a fun little thing here. He's actually taking the level 11 on this fight. So what we have an option to do in this particular run is the second fight we can actually fight with just Edgar and have him gain all the experience. And then he will hit level 11, which will make a couple of the fights coming up a little bit less treacherous. We only have 2 fights with him left in the game. And that will be Ultros, and the other one will be Kefka. So... Ooh, Straevaras forgot that he did not resurrect his party members.
Oh, he did not.
Yeah,
this could definitely...
So, I'm not sure
This would definitely be bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he knows what to do.
Might not know.
There he goes. So he's going to go ahead and take a nap here, but that's going to mess up his river manipulation.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be big. As you see now, Vanni, we've been sort of paying attention to Straevaras' stream, and Vanni is actually about to get to Ultros at a time of about 30 seconds. It's going to be through the fight probably by the time that Straevaras actually gets on the river. So it will be a significant time loss depending on how many encounters Straevaras gets. We don't really know how many he might get. At least 2. He could potentially get up to 9. And each encounter in this game seems to be roughly at least, I think, 12 to 20 seconds long if you try and run. So it can definitely add up. And at this level, definitely be tough to come back. Not impossible, but definitely tough.
Yep, so Vanni's going to go ahead and take on the Ultros here. And you would think that this fight is actually an issue, but it's actually pretty similar to the well fight where we actually trigger a counterattack out of Ultros to override his basic attack that he would do, thus delaying his AI. So if we do it right, as Vanni just showed perfectly, Ultros will get 1 attack, and that will be the end of the fight.
Vanni is a bit of a master at the Ultros fight. He put up a really awesome tutorial video on it that I tried to emulate and did pretty good most of the time, but I definitely did not expect any problems from him there. He must have practiced that fight at least, I would say, 100 times.
That sounds like a good number for Vanni. Yep.
Absolutely. And again, he appears through. He has some time lost there, but I'm going to attribute that to just actually him making a mistake there.
Yep, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and go to the scenario split here. We're going to have 3 scenarios we can do, and we're going to want to start with Sabin's scenario because at the end of Sabin's scenario, we get a special little item called Smoke Bombs, and Smoke Bombs is going to make everyone else's scenario much, much easier. So before that, we're gonna trudge through this long scenario here. We're gonna go ahead and pick up an optional character here named Shadow. Shadow only has a couple of text boxes that or times when he's actually mentioned, so we don't bother to reduce his name even though we have the scrolling text thing, because it takes up more time to erase all the characters in his name than it is for the amount of time that he actually gets mentioned.
Absolutely. We see Straevaras here at the first save point. So again, you can definitely see the difference at this point. There's a large gap. Just had something in my throat there. Timers.
I already went ahead and fixed the timers.
Oh, okay.
We
Sorry.
should be good now. There was a little bit of a delay that was blowing up a little bit of Vanni with delay. Good old Twitch, you know.
Well, I'm looking at Streamlink, so I don't.
Right.
Everyone else has seen.
They should be linked up now.
So I'm good. I'm
okay.
like maybe three seconds ahead. So
okay,
that's more than enough time.
So no spoilers.
So no, I don't think there's been any spoilers. I would fully expect chat to let me know if there were spoilers. Guard on Vanni's stream. He always makes me proud by just running into a wall. It's all that military training to good use. Do you see on Strae's side? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that military training that they just have giant mechs that they're not using to break down the castle. I thought this is military leadership at its finest. But
all right. Strae is through. He almost got the full party tentacle, which would have been a rip at that point. Everybody's 50-year-old hero, Cyan. Vanni is going to give him sprint shoes to make him go super fast. We're going to change a battle speed down to 1 because in this case, we want the battles to go fast. The battle speed in this game affects your enemies. You played Final Fantasy IV and put the battle speed to 1. and thought you were doing better. You're actually making the game much more difficult for you. You thought it was going to be.
Yep, so we'll go ahead and put the battle speed to 1 here for Cyan, so we can go ahead and get a quick counterattack off this leader here. And the counterattack will just one-shot the leader and make life very easy for that fight. Because little did I know, you could actually die at that fight.
Casually, I used to die to it quite a bit until I figured out what to do. But,
Yep, so.
you know, when you're a kid, you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Facts.
Just pushing
I
buttons.
know about Psycho Saiyan. I didn't know about Psycho Saiyan.
Oh, it was in Nintendo Power. You didn't get that issue?
Must have not got that issue, or I must have glossed over it.
Aha. So, back at camp cutscene here, we're gonna go ahead and keep mashing away. So a couple of reasons why we pick up Shadow. One, he makes this part of the game much safer. Two, he has well, he's a body, because it can be kind of dangerous when we get to certain parts coming up. So we could end up very easily only having Cyan and Sabin alive, or they would just both die, and then we would have nothing, and then, well, it would be a game over. We don't want to go back to the other place. And 3, he actually has a piece of equipment that we're going to want to use on Sabin called the Ninja Gear that's going to make it a lot safer for us to do stuff. So here we're going to go ahead and fight Kefka, and all we have to do is smack Kefka once in the head, and he's gonna talk a little bit, move on. So we're going to want to do that twice for the next 2 fights coming up, and then set up for our cadet/grunt fight that is coming up.
News, Shadow only leaves if you successfully win a battle, and there's a 1 in 32 chance. So as long as we're running from battles, Shadow will remain in the party. While you're at camp cutscene, Shadow does not leave. So also a good thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case some people might go, well, if you win a battle, Shadow might leave. That's true, but in these battles, he's scripted to not leave. The train, he is scripted to not leave as well.
I'd be interested to know where he went if he actually left while you were on the train.
Unresolved plot point, I would say. A fortunate pincer for Vanni, although still got the soldier still got the counter off. So the Templar soldier fight is not that complicated. Basically, a lot of counters, unfortunately, for Vanni. We threw the air lancet that we picked up at the returner's hideout. Shadow, and Kefka's going to decide that purple Kool-Aid, best Kool-Aid.
Everyone loves the purple stuff is all I have to say. But unfortunately, the people at the Castle of Doma have a sugar allergy, so everyone's going to break out the hives.
Cyan and his best buddy.
So, yeah, the other surviving half of the Kingdom of Doma.
Shout out to the guy who falls into the water but doesn't actually sink. It's a real skill.
It's very shallow water. Listen, everything in Final Fantasy VI makes perfect sense. It's very shallow water. The purple stuff is, it's not poison. It's just Kefka wanted to have a party, but unfortunately everyone's allergic to sugar. And, yeah, castles can go understand.
Total Final Fantasy VI logic. Shout out to King Doma, who's taking a dirt nap. Still seems to be alive somehow.
I mean, he did his job.
See here, the king's going to tell him to go save his family. You, Cyan, and your trusty sidekick there are going to split up to find survivors. What do you initially do? You run to your family.
I mean, it's what I would do.
Too. Fired purple Kool-Aid feels bad, man. Maybe that's the issue. You know, maybe that stuff that turns it purple, maybe that was expired.
I have never heard
1,000 years.
I've never heard of expired Kool-Aid in my life. But now I'm going to check every packet that I see. Thanks.
Problem. No problem, Scratch. Service announcement.
Oh, remember, kids, check your Kool-Aid packets for expiration dates. But meanwhile, Cyan's gonna come over to Camp Cutscene and join us here. And unfortunately, we don't actually get control of Cyan. So what we're hoping for is just basic attacks out of him, so he doesn't waste too much time using dispatches, because it has a long wind-up animation, and the basic attack is good enough to kill these enemies. But looks like Vanni's getting some good luck with Cyan so far, so we're going to have 2 fights of this, and then 1 more fight with a cadet and grunts, and that one is going to be a little bit more complicated.
Absolutely, but definitely not impossible. Just gotta pay a little more attention. That's all.
Yep. So with this one, what Cyan does will determine what we do for the rest of the fight. To go really fast, we just want Cyan to attack the soldier, just regular attack the soldier, and then we can have Shadow attack the other one, and Sabin can aura bolt the cadet. But unfortunately, Cyan doesn't want to do what we need him to do again, so it's gonna counterattack. Good counterattack on him, and then one more, and then all we have to do is throw the Zerk at him, and he's done.
So not the optimal for Vanni, but all of his characters have survived, so that's definitely very good. Still, in theory, die. I'm not making this next part impossible, but again, just slowing you down. And it's a speed run. We want to go fast, so going fast should be the order of the day. Here that Cyan, the 50-year-old man, has never used a Magitech armor, so our boy Sabin has to give him the crash course. And as you can see, hilarity ensues.
Yep, so here we're going to go ahead and we're going to escape from Camp Cutscene here, because obviously we're tired of mashing. So what we do here is the next 3 fights that we have in the Magitech armor is actually very, very easy. All we have to do is use Fire Beam, and then in the meanwhile, while we have a chance, we're going to go ahead and do some inventory management here. We're going to move some stuff up that we're going to use later on that we want handy, and then move the other things that we don't want down. So not really much to talk about on the escape from Camp Cutscene.
Inventory management is still important. We do see rainbow beams out of VOD. So this is another run validator I hear. A chat with the cyanide.
I don't know. I like the sayonara.
Agreed. I like that one the best. Again, it's still roughly about a minute and a half. It's tough to say right now because Stray, I think, has forgotten to split after Ultros. Be plus 12 minutes. A little bit tough to tell on his splits, but I would say about a minute and a half or so between our runners at this point. And what we do when we leave Camp Cutscene, do not take the Magitech armors with you, because then we might be powerful. So we'll leave them behind. Cross a bridge and go down to this mystical forest. We do see a couple of extra steps. Thankfully, you didn't get into an encounter.
Yep. The extra steps there, for anyone that's wondering, it's actually not that big of a deal, because coming up on the train, we're actually going to have a little part where we're going to be wasting a couple steps, because we want to force an encounter much like we did at the beginning of the game with Terra. So we have a couple of steps we can actually afford to lose here.
Have some steps to give. It's like fouls to give in basketball.
Ah, okay. Very good, very good. We're esports now.
Well, you know, sort of esports. So yeah, basically we want to run from these ghosts because they can hit us with fire, and fire hits pretty hard, as you'll see here. Each single target 60. Definitely not ideal, especially since we don't want to stop to heal because that wastes time. And here on the train, this magical train that's impervious to everything, and Sabin takes the role of brains of the outfit and says, let's go aboard. What's the worst that could happen? He ensues. That's what happens when you let the muscle. Got it.
Yep. So, we're gonna get away from the Empire because the Empire isn't gonna follow us onto this magical, wonderful train taking us to the afterlife. But we don't want to go to the afterlife, so we're gonna run to the front and beat them up. So, tell them to let us off the train. But here we're gonna walk forward, and as you see here, there's these NPCs that can get in our way. Unfortunately, even though we have steps to give, we don't want to give up too many steps because we want to get the encounter at the end of the second car here. So we actually have to wait for NPC movements to, just get out of our way so we can move forward, as you see here on Vanni's side right here, and he's going to have his couple of extra steps here to get the encounter. Yep, there it goes. So a little unfortunate.
And it's another pincer again. Just not seeing the right frame. Now, the good news is the still goings are considered undead. So we can use a potion, as Vanni has done there. To our way. It's blocked by Shadow there. Block comes takedown. He slows you down. He does some sweet damage, but in the speedrun he slows you down. Yep. I doubt you're going to see a train suplex at this point. I really do. Even though there is a difference, I could be wrong, but only wants to try and keep as much of his lead as he can. But we'll definitely see what happens.
Yep, and another example here of the ghost using fire. The fire it does enough damage where it's kind of annoying, but the more important fact is that the fire animation just takes forever when they multi-target, so it costs a lot of time. And remember, we're trying to go fast like this train.
Exactly. And what could definitely go wrong? So Sabin's going to try and bail out our team here by basically taking two people on his shoulders, I theorize. And we're going to jump not one, train cars. So almost like, action flick.
Oh, I mean, Sabin doesn't skip leg day.
He never skips leg day.
Yep, so, once again, convenient plot point right here. Look, we have the switch that's going to disconnect the cars so the ghosts that are chasing us can no longer chase us. So, we're going to go ahead and just flip this switch. It also opens the door for us, and then we're going to continue forward to the front of the train car. So, one of the cool little things that we're going to do here is we're going to take a quick second to pick up one treasure chest in the Phantom train. The treasure chest contains earrings, which is a relic that increases our magic. So, I know what everyone's thinking now. Why would we want something that increases our magic? Well, funny story about Sabin is, besides suplex and pummel, his blitzes actually do magic damage. So we're gonna equip that on him, and he's gonna take a very prominent lead in doing damage.
Absolutely. Also, at this point, it's extremely important that Vanni stays on step route, because if he falls off at this point, he will run into a grasshopper attack, which is definitely no bueno. One, it slows us down, and two, they have an ability called Wing Snap, which can berserk your enemy and lose control. And for the next sequence coming up, we definitely want to avoid that. But so far, he appears to be remaining on step route. Magical switches in the magical order. There's a guy in one of the train cars that's supposed to tell you that, but he didn't. So it's good. We know what we're doing, and basically we're going to switch this switch and stop the train, except the train doesn't stop.
So here we are at the Phantom Train, and the fun thing about the Phantom Train is it's just like everything else. It takes damage from restorative items and wait, Berserk Suplex. Ooh, and we have the suplex. Good old Chuplex. So, it takes damage from restorative items, and all we have to do is throw a Phoenix down on him, and the train is done.
And run validated for Vanni. I'm surprised.
I mean, but this raises the fun question now. Is Vanni doing that because he's actually watching where Strat is, or is he doing it just out of base instinct to keep up the memes? Because honestly, me personally, when I am racing another player, if it's not a randomizer race, I will watch where my opponent is so I can have a good gauge of what kind of strats I should be using as I go along through the run.
I'm going to say he's watching because I've seen runs with him where he has not suplexed the train. So he must feel like he has enough of a lead to satisfy the fans and validate the run all at the same time. So
everyone should remember, I got to throw them the follows with Vanni Von and Straevaras. I'm pretty sure that Strat isn't going to go ahead and going to suplex the train, but Vanni did it for the fans.
Rivers McCown kind of dropped in, and he was nice enough to fix up old Moodbot for us. So shout out to Rivers McCown. Kotaku acclaimed speedrunner Rivers McCown, I should say. So appreciate him doing that for us. And we're going to get some more cutscenes. This game is about 45 minutes of cutscenes throughout the whole game. It might be more, it might be less, but it's definitely a long time in regards to that. Vanni, end of the peoples, absolutely. But again, he could still be potentially punished. Forward, Gao could not appear, and could definitely lose him some time. If you see on Straevaras' side, this is why we want to stay on step route, because 4 Whispers is definitely bad. If we see 4 Whispers, we're probably going to see 3 bombs at the next encounter. Definitely want to avoid that. 4 more Whispers. The Whispers can cast Demi, which one is very slow. Takes away half your damage.
So, luckily he got through without any major incident there. The Demi, more than the time that it costs just to cast a Demi, it's the amount of life you lose, and then when you get to the evil train, if you get evil tooted and you're at a very bad life total, a lot of bad things could happen.
Absolutely. Thankfully, at Vanni's point where he is at Barren Falls, you do get a free heal because the game doesn't want to soft lock, because Shadow at this point basically says, "You're crazy. I'm out of here." If both of your other party members were dead, it would be game over. So you do get an instant full heal, but what we want to do on Vanni's side is we actually want to kill Cyan. He's been pulling his weight, so we're just gonna drop him on the ground momentarily. I promise you.
Oof.
Oh,
Oof.
Very unfortunate. Having the True Knight on, that's where unfortunately that definitely does not help. He's lost a couple of seconds there, but nothing huge. I had no suplex. Drop the Phoenix down. He is through there. Setup is a retort glitch. Basically, Cyan will have retort queued up. We're going to do a physical attack. Suplex happens to be a physical attack from Sabin. It's one of the few ones other than Pummel, which then prompts retort. And then the name really doesn't quite know what to do, so it says, "Here you go, victory music," and we're done. Also, fun fact, bosses in Final Fantasy VI do not experience, so it's through there. the game says let's move on, and
They might have missed that you cut out right when you said bosses and something and something.
oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
I,
Discord's being
I
a little
love
bit.
Discord.
It's being a little bit of a jerk today, so we're sorry about that. Oh, 1 second.
TLDR, more FF6 science means us going fast and saving time. Because that was only recently found out, and by recently I mean about the last year and a half in the last tournament. We were doing that glitch, but in just a slightly different way. Hey, we can do it better. We have the technology. So we are on to the Velt here. Well, if I'm going to go to the Discord people and write a tersely worded letter.
Yeah, but just to finish that thought, so we're at the Velt now, and Vanni's actually on his step route now, so we're gonna have 3 encounters before we get to the next town, and this is the primary reason why we want to have the step route, so we know exactly what encounters we get on the Velt. So cool little fact, Ga, our next party member that is supposed to join us, has a couple of conditions for showing up. So condition 1 is that all your party members needs to be alive. Condition 2, he cannot show up on a back attack or a pincer attack. Condition 3, he cannot show up in packs of 5. And condition 4, well, it's not really a condition, and he has a 5 out of 8 chance of showing up on eligible battles. So what we do is, because we are on a very good step route, we know exactly the next 2 fights we're gonna have, which should be a single ghost and a single bomb, and those are eligible fights where Gao can show up. So what we want is to kill them and then Gao to show up before we get down to the cave.
And because it's a single ghost, quick to kill, even though it did get fire off there. Actually, a little surprising that happened, but there we go. First try, Gao.
Yep, first try every time. So we had to run to town to pick up the dried meat. We throw the dried meat on him, and then we wait for roughly like a minute and a half for this cutscene to play through. So I hope everyone's enjoying the music. Let me get some dows and some good beats going on. Meanwhile, we have
to Vanni, Hungry Skip Hype in the chat there. What a baller.
Vanni. Don't you have a game to run?
We do have yeah, don't you have a race to run? We do have Straevaras here. He appears to be setting up for the Rise of Paz skip. To be in order. 73 did just enough damage there, but unfortunately, Stray killed the piranha. What's to do?
Okay, so this isn't the worst thing that can happen. He's still able to pull off the glitch. He's just going to have to kill both piranhas and then throw the Phoenix down. Really, we don't want to fight Rezopas. We do not want to fight him at all, because Cyan doesn't have any armor on, and he can actually do a couple of nasty attacks that could wipe our team. So what we're going to do is we're going to try the skip one more time.
Rise of Paz does an attack, I believe, on the second or third turn called El Nino, and it basically can just wipe your party, especially since we're under-leveled. We definitely want to avoid that. And it looks as though he'll be okay now.
Yep. So
he is definitely through, and that's a good thing, because you don't want to face Rise of Paz.
Yep, so back with Vanni, we gotta have our good friend Kappa to explain how Ga works for us. So he's an interesting character because he doesn't have the traditional fight command. He has what we call Rage, and Rage is he gets to pick from a group of enemies that he has learned from the Velt, and you pick the enemy and he does those attacks. But unfortunately, he berserks himself and does random attacks with those enemies and attacks random people. So he's not really overly useful for the run, but we got to pick him up because it's part of the storyline. So we pick him up.
Absolutely. And definitely good that he was able to run away from those bombs. Those bombs can one-shot you, which would definitely be bad. They can use blaze your enemies, so definitely good he was able to get away from that.
Yep.
Go see Gao's shiny treasure. That's in all those cutscenes. He told us about a shiny treasure, but now, he's forgotten where it is.
Yep. So
We're gonna.
picked up. He didn't pick up. He actually took a safety save before the trench because the trench can be pretty hazardous because of a couple of encounters that you can get. So we only have 4 encounters on the trench, but much like how it is on the river, we don't get a real chance to heal in between fights. So we're looking to avoid one particular encounter for the first encounter, and then we're looking to avoid pincer attacks for the next 3.
We do see on Straevaras' side, he gets Templar Soldier, which when you're off step route, you get that. It's magic. At least slows you down, which is why the step route is done the way it's done. On his side, eventually Gao will jump into the river, I promise. Matter of when.
Well, he's probably looking at the 2 of them and saying, "Are the 2 of you crazy? What's going on here?"
It's 3 guys, 1 helmet, and yet somehow Gao jumps in last.
Ponytail
somehow
magic.
it's in the helmet.
Ponytail magic is all I have to say about that. So here we go. Looks like Vanni's a little lucky here. He didn't get the single aqua form here. A single aqua form can use a very nasty attack, which is very similar to El Nino, which is Aqua Rake, which can also wipe our party. So lots of danger coming into this section of the game.
You can get pincered here. We've had races decided here where one person has been behind and the other person's been ahead, and it's reversed by the end. Very lewd. Fortunately, Vanni did get a preemptive there, so definitely good from there. He's going to run through this cave and come through to get to the last 2 encounters.
Yep. So
that are coming up.
Yep, if you guys have noticed, Vanni took a right turn at the first fork and is going to take a left turn at the second fork. By taking the right at the first fork will take us to that cave that he ran through, which is very short. By going left, we get an extra encounter, but doing the right on the second fork, the cave is significantly longer, so we don't want to take that, so we just go ahead and take the second encounter.
So this 5-pack can potentially be challenging. The aspects will cast Numb Spines, which is a stop, but they appeared to physically attack, and he's definitely through there in regards to that. On Straevaras' side, he does get Gao in there.
Yep, so he's going to be hot on Vanni's tail here. There's still a little bit of race left, so things can change. There's 1 or 2 places left that could delay Vanni a little bit. So here he's going to go ahead and pick up a Mithril Pike. He sold the black belt that we picked up earlier for some money, so we can pick up the Mithril Pike and the Smoke Bombs. The Smoke Bombs let us run from any encounter that is eligible for escape, and the Mithril Pike will be equipped on Egger later on for some additional damage for the final boss fight.
So and Vanni's picked up 19 smoke bombs, which is more than enough considering the encounters he's got left. Ideally, you only need, I think, 11 or so. But he definitely appears to be in the driver's seat. I would say at this point it's Vanni's race to lose, even though his splits are showing him a little bit behind in regards to that. Yes, they are, Mittens. They're allowed to watch each other's race. It's not a rando, so there's no inherent advantage. They both know what to do. We moved Locke into spot 2, or spot 4, as we've seen some runners do, because in the cave that Locke is about to go through, if you do run into a pincer attack with a gold bear, can definitely something called which can potentially one-shot lock. And we definitely don't want to do that because it's a speed run. You want to go fast. Most of the strategies eternized are out there. There's no real secrets in the FF6 community. It's a very chill, relaxed community.
Yeah, it's actually been very, very helpful being part of this tournament for well, for a multitude of reasons. Everyone's been very nice and has been good to explain a lot of tricks. And this category is actually really good to learn for anyone that wants to learn like RPGs or just Final Fantasy VI in general, because this category is the intro category to Final Fantasy VI. We race this category because it's much shorter, and the other categories are 3 hours long, 3 or more hours long. So this is a good way of getting your feet wet to figure out if you really want to run Final Fantasy VI, and this one's a little bit more tournament friendly-ish.
It's very true, Eternize. Actually, the race I commentated last night broke more than likely because the person who was behind needed to take a very risky strat in order to win, and ended up pulling it off.
Terrible name. One could be on emulator and the other person could be on the Super Nintendo. The only hardware we don't allow currently is on the SNES Classic, because it gives a slight advantage because of menu lag is reduced in the SNES Classic. So we went ahead and said that piece of hardware is not allowed for this tournament.
Yeah. I can tell you Vanni is on console. Card. I can't tell you about Straevaras. Can also be their capture cards. Can also attribute the difference, whatever bit rate they're streaming at, etc.
Yep. And if you blinked, you missed it, because our lock scenario is already done. So a couple of things that we did for lock scenario. What we did was we actually did a clip through a guard, which we're not supposed to be able to do. We picked up a Thunder Rod, which we are supposed to be able to do, but then we used said Thunder Rod as an item, which cast a level 2 version of a spell. So I know what you're thinking. It's just a level 2 version of a spell. How can it one-shot the boss like that? When you use rods as items, it actually also ignores magic defense and does the maximum value of damage that it can do at said time. So one-shot the boss, and we're done with lock scenario, and we're off to the end of the game.
PS1 would be allowed. It is much slower because the times to enter battle are excruciatingly long. If someone wanted to run PS1, they could definitely do that, but their odds of going through would be really, really low. So we have on Vanni's side here, our intrepid travelers have made it to Narshe. We're going to come over here because if you actually try and go straight into Narshe, there are some guards that don't believe you and don't trust you, and they basically kick you out of the town. So we're able to take the back way that we initially learned when we first came through here about roughly an hour and 12 minutes ago or so. And we have our trusty smoke bombs that we bought. Thankfully, through each scenario, the game decided, you know what, your inventory is fine the way it is. You got a bunch of smoke bombs. Even though you haven't spoken to Sabin yet, you get to keep those smoke bombs. So good stuff.
Yep. And it looks like Straevaras decided to take the right cave there for some safety. I don't know if a couple of his members are extra hurt or one was dead, but decided to just go through the long cave there. But he managed to get through the Serpent Trench all right, and he's gonna go ahead and pick up his smoke bombs in Mithril Pike coming up. But on Vanni's side, he's going to go through the security checkpoint. But luckily for us, all we have to do is, when we trigger the light, all we have to do is hold up an A, and it triggers it correctly, and we don't get an encounter, and we can just walk through.
Absolutely. So he is roughly just 4 encounters from the end now, I believe. Chat, I think it's just a matter of capture cards and resolutions and things like that. So they're playing the same version. Like there's no shenanigans or anything going on.
So,
We see Vanni, which running would be faster than using the smoke bomb animation. So definitely good there for him. As he's just about done with Terra's scenario, and he is going to go to the final boss of the game, Kefka. So we'll see what he does.
so yeah, there's no real danger at this point for Bannon, because if you know Bannon's still in our party, and if he dies, then we still get the game over. But we have the good old trusty smoke bombs here, and if you notice that these are the enemies we fought at the beginning of the game with Terra, so no real danger of dying at this particular point. Though, when we get to Kefka, that changes dramatically.
Absolutely. Yes, Mittens, Tina was in an amazing race against Lin 1 tournament, who looked like he would be on the outside looking in, but he did something affectionately called the thing and was able to pull off a 4-second victory. Very epic finish. Beaten by the thing is definitely a feather in Tina's cap, because I don't think anyone else has ever lost to the thing.
I'm so very sad that I missed it last night.
I didn't even. I was shocked. Like you listen to the commentary, I was like, "What is he? Oh my goodness, he's gonna try and pull it off." It was the only way he could win, and she got a PB too. She was like 125.40, so it was
well,
definitely the tightest match I think so far.
I'll have to go back and catch the VODs of that. Anyone who knows and visits my stream or has been paying attention in the Discord knows I'm a very big advocate of the thing. So it warms my heart.
Scratchy will not be disappointed. That's I won't spoil it for anyone, but is the official term null. I would definitely agree 100%. She got clobbered by 4 seconds. I was all ready to have Tina go through, and then all of a sudden Lynn decided to do otherwise. And the only reason why I'm talking about that is, again, Final Fantasy VI and cutscenes go hand in hand. We have this Moogle named General Kutan. Spy just appeared out of nowhere. He was a puppy dog.
Oh, this is the major plot twist that was part of the game. Little did you know, it was Kutan all along.
Spoilers on a 20-year-old game.
Yeah, so.
The Empire coming. So Vanni looks to be around a really, like a 125 pace, a high 125. I've been told it's about 3 minutes from this cutscene here. So he's looking around at 125. It's really, at this point, Vanni's to lose. If he gets Ice 2 to Kefka, it's possible for Stray to catch up, but it would really... for Vanni to lose at this point, I'm just going to say.
I don't know if Lynn actually watches the other player's stream when he runs, but I could only imagine that that's the reason why he did it, was that he was paying attention to his opponent's stream and he decided to do the thing.
Yes, I think he said it was the only way, and he was behind, so he really had nothing to lose. Time by about 4 seconds, and Tina's a top 3 runner. Like, she has the 3rd best time, so you know her Kefka's going to be on point. Vanni is going to save. Smart move there.
Yep. Despite how far ahead Vanni is, Kefka can, like, if he decides that he just wants to end your run, he can go ahead and end your run here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing that we did earlier on, which is what I like to affectionately call the tower defense, where we're going to defend Baron, but we're just going to walk by all these guys again and fight Kefka.
Not anticipate Vanni doing the thing. I spoke with him briefly before the race, and he indicated to me that now would not be the time to try and learn the thing. And I said, fair enough.
Okay. So,
So
while we're waiting here, I'll go ahead and explain the thing. So what we do here is we just walk by these soldiers all normally. We let them walk by us, and then we walk towards Kefka here. So this part is the same for the thing either way. But instead of walking to the left here, we actually walk down, and we do a series of slick menuing where we switch the party and we menu, and we switch the party and we switch the party and we switch the party. That way we actually walk past these soldiers instead of having to wait. It saves about 8 seconds overall, but can cost if you do it incorrectly, because it's very easy to do it incorrectly, about a minute and a half.
So we are at the final battle here with Vanni's side. With Kefka, basically, we're going to use a series of wait tricks in order to get Sabin's second turn off before Kefka gets his second turn. You see that here with the Orbital. We've put on the earrings a little bit earlier to increase our damage. Our second turn has come before Kefka's second turn, so I don't anticipate any problems from Vanni's side in regards to that. Twice, I don't believe so. I would let Scratch answer that question. He's an expert on the thing.
No, you cannot do the thing twice. You only have one part to do it. But Vanni has not done with a time of 1:25:25. Congratulations to Vanni. Straevaras, unfortunately, has decided to forfeit from the race after seeing such a thing. I don't blame him. A lot of things went very wrong. So congratulations to Vanni. He will be moving on to the semifinals.
Absolutely. GG to Vanni.
Yep. So